October was a really busy month for me. I flew almost 40,000 nautical miles. I was in an airplane for over 80 hours. I flew almost 2,200 passengers, and yet I was paid over 105 hours. How did it happen? Well, let's follow along. I promise you I'll make it easy to understand. First, hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist based in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. I currently fly the 777 aircraft. Now, as far as my month and my calendar went, to my left is my calendar. This is how the month started. So every month on the 8th, I bid for my next month. I get my results on the 16th. So you can see my reserve days. Those are just the blocks of blue, right? Every day, I have to be available to the company for an assignment. I bid for short call reserve. That means, starting at 11 a.m., they can contact me and let me know of a flight assignment. Most time leaving that day, sometimes it's the next day, but it's short call reserve. I have to have a minimum of 3-day blocks, max of 7-day blocks. So I have a mix of 3, 4, and even 1 5-day block of reserve. Now, what did I actually do for the month? Again, I'm trying to make it easy for you. You can see to my left here, my calendar of what I actually did. Now, the blue days are still reserve days. Those are days that I was on reserve, but they never contacted me for a flight, so I got to hang out with my family, do whatever I wanted to do that day in the area, within a couple hour drive of Dallas. The yellow blocks are trips I was assigned on reserve. And the one green block, that one's a special trip. So, looking at the very first trip on October 2nd, it was a FO trip. I had to fly the airplane. London trip, I go to London a lot. You'll see that. I had an 8:35 p.m. report time. My reserve started at 11 a.m. So I had all day off with my family, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, put the kids to bed, and headed to the airport. One flight to London, got back on day 3 at 1:46 in the afternoon, and I was done. I flew for a total of 19 hours and 48 minutes. My time away from base was 42 hours and 15 minutes. Now, you see the trip value below. That's what it would pay if I was a line holder, but I'm reserve. So that 19 hours and 48 minutes gets absorbed into my 76-hour a month guarantee. So essentially I got nothing for it because I'm already being credited for that trip. I do, however, get my $99 international pay. It's a thing we have in my airline. It has nothing to do with flying to another city. At this airline, it has to do with flying more than 162 nautical miles away from shore. That's it. Mexico City, domestic. Toronto's domestic. Hawaii is international. Now, after that trip, I got home on that Friday afternoon, off all day Saturday, off of most of Sunday. Until that afternoon, I picked up an extra overtime trip. This is the green trip you see on my calendar. Now, this was a day off. I was off on Sunday and Monday. I was on reserve on Tuesday. Well, I had a 4 p.m. report time to fly to London as a relief pilot. I got back at 4:09 on day 3. I flew for 19 hours and 49 minutes on this trip. Now, because it was an overtime trip, it paid time and a half. So I do get the actual pay for this trip. Because of the extra time and a half, I got an extra 9 hours and 54 minutes of extra pay. My time away from base, 49 hours and 10 minutes. A little bit longer than last time. We were late. My international pay is time and a half as well. So I got 148.58. And the actual cash value of the trip to me, because again, it does pay me, I get paid for the trip, is 85.56.19. So it was pretty good being away from home, picking up an extra trip on my days off. I normally prefer picking up trips that only have 1 day off. This one had 2. It was a gamble. It paid off. Now, I was on reserve that next Wednesday, and they didn't call me. On October 10th, I was on reserve again, 11 a.m. wrap, and they did let me know they needed me to fly to Rome that day. Relief pilot trip. The second relief pilot trip. It's a very easy trip. There's a video about this one. At a 1:35 p.m. report time, I was done at 2:55 in the afternoon on day 3. I flew for 22 hours and 35 minutes. Again, I was sleeping for good 8-9 hours of that. My time away from base was 49 hours and 50 minutes. I got 112.92 international pay. And again, the trip value was 64.71. I get none of that because again, that 22.35 is absorbed into my reserve guarantee. After that, I got to rest. Then I was on reserve on the 14th through 16th, but they never called me. So those 3 days, I had 11 a.m. wrap every day, except for the last day, I think I had a 10 a.m. wrap. But they never contacted me. And after that last day, I'm on reserve for 6 hours, so 10 to what, 2 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon. At that point, I'm released and I'm done for the day. I was off the next 2 days, and then I was assigned a trip on the 19th. Again, this one I got more than a day in advance. Another London trip. It is what it is. So I had a 4 p.m. report time. I was done at 5:42 in the afternoon on day 3. I flew for 19 hours and 37 minutes. So you see the trend here. They're all about 19 and a half hours for the London trips. My time away from base was 49 hours and 42 minutes. I got 98.08 for my international pay. But again, the trip value of 15.47 was absorbed into the reserve guarantee. I got nothing for it. Now, after that, I was off for 2 days. And then I was on reserve again on the 24th. Now, the morning of the 24th, I woke up and my head was full of snot. Gross, Darren. Well, it was full of snot. I couldn't breathe very much. I have allergies. So I used a provision in my contract called sick if needed. That's letting the airline know, hey, if you need me, I'm sick. They don't charge me of any sick time unless they actually needed me. It's a pretty good deal, right? If you don't feel well, you can just call in sick if needed, and then if they don't need you, you don't burn any sick days, and you don't have to go to work. But the airline knows, okay, this pilot, he's not going to be any use to us if we need him today, right? So it's a win-win for the company and the airline, a company and the pilot. Unfortunately, they didn't need me that day. So I was charged 1 day of sick. It's 4 hours and 13 minutes. It is what it is, right? That afternoon, I felt better. I could breathe again. And I was on reserve the next 2 days. So I wanted to wrap so I could say, hey, let the airline know, Mr. Officer Bird, I am available for an assignment. That's at 3 in the afternoon. At 3:11 p.m., they called me. Said, First Officer Bird, we're putting you on a wrap right now, from 3:11 p.m. till 5:11 a.m. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but they were out of reserves. I didn't know that. Now, here's where things got kind of crazy. Those 3 reserve trips I did, the total of those trips added up to exactly 62 hours. At this airline, a reserve cannot be scheduled to fly more than 85 hours worth of credit per month. I had 23 hours that they could still fly me, right? Should be good to go. Because again, I said London trips are like 19 hours each. Well, there was an issue. The trip they wanted to assign me was a deadhead to Phoenix, fly to London, and a deadhead back from London. That's super easy, man. A deadhead back from London, we get business class seats for that. Paid to sleep the whole way, sign me up. But here's the issue. The trip value was 23 hours and 8 minutes. 8 minutes too much. So they couldn't actually assign me a trip. They thought they could, because I believe what probably happened was they were out of reserves. The trip opened up, they're out of reserves. They saw me hit the button for, hey, I'm well, I'll fly. They went, oh my gosh, let's get him flying. They did not have to call me right away to give me a wrap. They could have just gave me a wrap for the next day. They didn't do that. But they could not give me the trip. It ended up going to a premium guy, some other line holder. But because they assigned me a wrap at 3:11 p.m., I was on the hook till 5:11 a.m. Well, at 5:11 in the morning, I was off wrap. I went into rest. They could not assign me another wrap for the day. And for lots of reasons, they didn't even give me a wrap for Saturday. So I did have to call in sick that morning. I burned a sick day, 4 hours and 13 minutes. That's added to my 62 hours. But I got the next 2 days essentially off. It is what it was. Again, I would have liked that trip, because if I had taken that trip, even if it was right at 23 hours, it'd be at 85 hours, right? Well, that's 9 hours over guarantee. That's 76. Yeah. So that would have given me an extra 9 hours pay for the month. Again, I would have been happy to do it, but I couldn't do it. But after that, I was off for the rest of the month. And I planned it that way. I requested my airline to give me Halloween off so I can do Halloween festivities with my family. So, looking at the month as a whole, that was a pretty good month for pay-wise, right? You can look at my pay in a couple different ways. You can just take the 76-hour guarantee, and then my premium trip, take those hours, add them all together, it's about 105 hours and change. Or you can break it out into 76 hours times my hourly rate equals this, plus my premium pay equals this, add them together. It all comes out to the same number. It's just math, right? My per diem was $645.83. My international pay was $458.58. And then at this airline, they give me an amount equal to 17% of my hourly pay to my 401k every month. So my 401k for the month was $51.44.62. Small caveat, I've already hit the limits for 401k for the month, so that's money coming straight to me. I can't go to my 401k anymore. So it's an extra $5,000 in pay I'll be getting. It's still taxed, so don't worry, I'm still paying for it. So let's looking at things, right? How did I feel about flying that much? It was a busy month. Looking at the calendar, I was on reserve one day, 3-day trip. Off one day, 3-day trip. Off one day, 3-day trip. That's a lot. Because but the trips don't start at 8 in the morning and at midnight, right? So I was home a lot more than the calendar appears to be. That's why I gave you the start and end time for the trips. Because again, it was a late afternoon start, midday or mid-afternoon finish, right? So I saw my family day one, breakfast, saw my wife at home for lunch, went to work, came home, dinner with the family, put the kids to bed. So total nights in hotels was only 4 nights in hotels. How? Because again, the flight over to London or to Europe is an overnight flight. We get in, 1 night in a hotel, and come back the next day. Mostly it's a 24-hour overnight. And some people don't like the idea, it's such a short overnight, but I have no problem with it. If I want to go see London, we fly for free. We can just go see London. So for me, it was a good month. I was kind of tired in the beginning, but towards the end of the month, here I am growing a beard again because I'm not flying this whole week. When I bid at 777, part of my thinking was, and my hope I could do was, fly the 777 as a first officer, but make close to or more money than I can make as a captain on the Airbus while working less. So you can see what the 76-hour guarantee is for an Airbus captain versus what I made this month, right? I think I'm doing okay. I'm flying fewer legs. I have much less stress. Multi-pilot crew. I'm paid to sleep on the airplane. And I think I have better quality of life overall. Now, I don't see myself doing this in perpetuity. I have 16 years left, right? I see myself doing this until I can hold a good line. A set schedule on the Airbus as a captain. That's probably 3-day trips. Right now, as an Airbus captain, I can see what I would be holding as a line holder, and it's 4-day trips over weekends. I would rather bid where I am now, because most of my trips on the 777 are 3 days long, in my base anyway. So I'm in a good spot right now, balancing quality of life, quality of work, and time with my family. I have lots of time to do all the dad stuff and the husband stuff for my family. But that was my month of October. Hope it made sense to you. If you want to support me, I just appreciate you. Yeah, you can like, subscribe, comment, here on my socials. I make a video once every week, on average, on Thursdays. Have a great day, and as always, thank you for stopping by.